Hi, what's up, fantasy fans? As always, I'm Shay from the channel Zachary Shay. I'm here with my good friend Jake from Nerd Level Rising, and
What's
we
up,
are going to
man?
be talking about Warhost of Vastmark.
I should have grabbed my book. I'm such a slacker.
You
Sorry.
can be forgiven. How have you been, Jake?
I'm good, dude. I'm really excited to talk about this one. We
Mhm.
uh, we both read it a little bit ago, but
Right.
there's some big stuff here, and especially some big payoffs coming off of the heels of ships. So I'm so excited to talk, and just excited to
Mhm.
hang out and talk to you today. Yeah, it's
Oh,
always fun.
thank you, Jake. Likewise, likewise. I agree. This is Curse of the Mistwraith is its own arc in a way, but this felt like the first time we got an epic conclusion to an arc, that we
Yeah,
got a conclusion to a storyline that has been set up for more than one volume. Even though Ships is kind of like Ships and Warhost are meant to be read together, you still had like 1,000 pages of setup before you
yeah,
get the climax at Deer Kenton Vale. So it packs a little bit more of a punch than what we got at Tal Quarren.
yeah, for sure. That's well said. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So, first I wanted to mention. So we start off with the lay for the stranded warhost. We get this little like song poem lamenting the loss of the forces of the Lord of Light. So we know that going into it that this warhost is going to see some tragedy, and there are all these laments and these sad songs about it, and they cast Arathon in this very negative light. So we know something there is going to happen, that history will record it as Arathon doing this dark and egregious thing. But then we immediately go into the Fellowship, and Caradmon is fleeing this weird entity coming from
yeah,
Southgate. And I know we both mentioned they I don't know if it's from Seth Veer's perspective. It's one of the Fellowship's perspectives where they mention a necromancer, which I thought was really cool. And we just kind of get hints at these threats that are, outside of Athera from all these
mhm,
different gates. And we've had conversations offline about like the different things that they're, defending against. And it just kind of paints a picture of like how they're constantly doing damage control at all these gates and all these
yeah.
different threats that are coming through.
Yeah, totally. I love that you said that. That's such a great setup too. Because we learned in book one
Mhm.
about how like when the Mistwraith was coming through that gate and they were trying to block it and fight it off, and like Traith got injured really badly, and like it was this huge deal, but they were there trying to defend the gate as the thing was coming through, which then
Mhm.
begs the question, like, is there we know there's other gates, right? Because Lysair and
Right.
Arathon came through a different one. So how many gates are there? Are they defending all of them? Like, what sort of threats are we dealing with? And so this was a really cool little glimpse at what might be through one of these other gates. Um,
Mhm.
and yet again, just how like as he's like traveling back through, just the way it's described, the way that Janie writes it is just so cool. Um, I still every time I talk about how she writes magic, I just can't figure out what words to use because I'm
Right.
like, how did she find words to describe this in this way? It's so unique. I don't know. At least I've never read anything anywhere close to like that.
Yeah, she brings, I guess, my word that I use as a crutch in describing it, which doesn't do it justice, is like ethereal. But it
Yeah.
also feels, because she's mentioned that there's like a basis in string theory, which I'm not knowledgeable on that. But she's explained to me a little bit about the different resonances of the magic and stuff, and a lot of it goes over my head. I'm able to grasp on little bits and pieces of it. But even without a full understanding of the magic, I do really love the way it's described.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, especially, I mean, there's some scenes in this book later on, like the that scene on Vastmark with Dakar and
Uh-huh.
Arathon trying to heal, in ships, Arathon and Alara trying to heal that man's hand. Um, so I
Yeah.
agree, the magical descriptions are on another level.
Yeah. And like I feel like there's so much stuff where we see like they just barely avoid a catastrophe.
Mhm.
Like even in this scene with Caramon, like he gets back and it's just like madness immediately, right? There's these wraiths that followed him back through, and they're trying to like contain them, and they're trying to figure out what to do, and it's just like flying all over the place, just chaos inside the tower.
Mhm.
and then Seth, right, who was like, "Wait, I have this idea," and they like trap him in this flask, but
Mhm.
he's trapped with them, and he's trying to like separate himself out. It's like it's just such a weird, different way to write like an action scene
Yeah.
that I just love that. That's like you get you get battles and stuff in these books, right? But like that we would traditionally associate with fantasy books, but we get so much just different types of action. It just keeps everything feeling so
Mhm.
fresh.
Right.
I don't know. I just can't get enough of it, dude.
I love what you mentioned about the Fellowship drawing it in and how everything's so chaotic, and I think that's why the Fellowship, at least in my subjective view of things, accomplish a little bit more than the Coriani, because like the Coriathaean enchantresses, like they have all these plans, right? And the Fellowship, like at first it appears like they have these intricate plans and they try to, but really they're just mega improvisers.
Yeah.
Like they're constantly reacting and adjusting their plans and going off of, the Mad Prophet's scryings and going off of this and constantly adapting to the situation. Whereas I feel like the Coriathaean, at least so far as we've seen, are less flexible. They try to be flexible, but the Fellowship, like they're countering catastrophes like left and right and just going on about their day.
Yeah.
And it,
Yeah.
it just shows like how powerful they are and how long they've been doing this. Like I feel like they've been keeping threats from Athera for millennia even.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
then from there we go into Tharic, which was the armory guard that Arathon, like, because of his actions, Tharic was abused by the Sabridian brothers.
Hmm.
And then at the beginning of this book, after we get the Fellowship, we get Tharic burning Arathon's fleet or his ships at Marior. Um, and I thought that was a really interesting decision because there was mention in her little, like triplet chapter ends. There was mention of a armory guard that was unjustly treated, but he
Uh-huh.
was never named. There wasn't a lot of emphasis given to him. So in this book, near the beginning of the book, she takes this unnamed character from book 2 and basically gives him this act of, embittered vengeance where he's burning these ships to say like, oh, you disgraced me, so I'm burning your fleet. And it's, he doesn't really know why he's doing it. He's just enraged by what was done to him, and it's an act of vengeance. And then we get this slow redemption slash he kind of bonds with Arathon and Janess, more so Janess, but he kind of goes down this road of understanding Arathon and bonding with the people of Marior. I thought that was a really interesting arc, especially considering he was just an unnamed guardsman in book 2.
Yeah. It was awesome. That's I think at this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first time in the series so far that we saw like that big of an arc for a character where like he's sort of unknown, he's working for the Sabridians in book 2.
Mhm.
Arathon sneaks by him, so he gets like beat and discharged and all this stuff. He
Mhm.
goes and burns the ships, and then like we have this just slow development of like, okay, he falls in love with Janess, and like now he really sort of goes over to Arathon's side, for lack of a better way to say that. It
Mhm.
just and every step of the way makes perfect sense, right?
Right.
The way that it's laid out. But when you look from beginning to end, it's like, wow, this is so different. And I'm trying to think. I don't think there's a character that we've had, unless Lysair maybe, um,
Yeah.
where it's such a big difference from
It's a
being to
negative trajectory,
yeah,
sort of.
yeah.
I think the closest would probably be Janess in ships. How you kind of get her,
Oh, true.
fear of the water and doesn't want Arathon to take her kids out to sea. But
Yeah,
she still kind of plays with that in Warhost. Like, does Janess trust Arathon to always do what's best for her kids? So I wouldn't say her arc's complete. Whereas like Theric, like he kind of like shifts, and while he does get swayed by Lysair a bit, that shift is kind of pretty final. Like he kind of, goes through that arc and not final, but it feels more concrete than where Janess is at the end of ships. I would agree that like he gets that arc in a relatively short page count. Like in 20, 30 pages, you see him like really understand the error of his ways and kind of go back on that and form this relationship with Janess, which honestly one of her best romances in the series so far. And it was given
Yeah.
such a short page count, but I really bought into their relationship.
Yeah, me too. And he starts to he builds a bit of a relationship with the kids too, right? They're still there at the beginning of the story. They're still at Marior, right?
This is before they went all stowaway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool to kind of see them get a little bit of a father figure as well, and him
Mhm.
sort of get these just all the relationships that he starts to build there in
Right.
that place, and try to sort of redeem himself after burning all the all the ships down and being like,
Right.
oh wait, that was the worst possible thing I could have done now. Yeah, I'm with you. I loved everything about that whole part of the story and the romance
Mhm.
and everything. It was great. Alara and Arathon are still the ones I'm pulling for.
Oh yeah,
As we've kind
same.
of seen that growing a bit as we've gone through the book so far, but so I'm hopeful for them. I want it to work and I want it to be great. But Theric and Janess was pretty great.
Just with how long form the narrative is and how vital Arathon and Alara both are, you know that that's a romance that you're gonna like. It's gonna be several books before you
Yeah,
get that sort of. Whereas like Tharic and Janess, you're able to see that. You're able to see them form that relationship a lot sooner than you
yeah,
will with more primary players.
yeah,
So
for sure, for
cool.
sure. That makes total sense. Um, I'm really curious on when. So we've talked about this a little bit
Mhm.
off air before, I suppose, but I just want to get more of what your response was like when we are. I think it was towards the end of ships.
Mhm.
The Coriani were like, "Man, we really need this Great Waystone thing. Like, this is really
Mhm.
important, and we don't fully understand why it's so important, but like they really need it." And
Right.
we had noticed that that's in Althane Tower before. I think was that in
Mhm.
Mistwraith maybe that we got a quick mention of it or something. They found
I
it.
think so.
Um, it was one of the wizards was trying to take Lyser under his wing to kind of teach him to use magic, and they like were
Mhm.
walking through the tower and they saw it or something. But so we know it's there. But then they're like, all right, we're gonna go do this. And Lorenda takes it's like 100 or whatever of these Coriani, like we're gonna go storm the tower and try to get this thing.
Mhm.
And they go, and it's like this huge production. They're doing this huge like ritual magic thing, and there's like they're trying to get through the wards of the tower, and it's just this giant centaur pops up.
Yeah.
And like that was one of the first. There's moments in Mistwraith and in ships where I was just like, like just gasp.
Mhm.
But then with this one, like this, that got me. I was so hyped
Yeah.
when that happened. So I would just love to hear more of how you felt when we sort of had that moment, and then of course where it goes after that.
Well, that's really well, seemingly that was like the first time that we have interactions with Paravians. Well, in
Mhm.
Curse of the Mistwraith, we had like the unicorn, the Riothan Paravian.
Yep.
But at that point, I think my perception was like once Deshthir's gone, they're all going to come back. And
Yeah,
then,
that's what I thought
you
too.
know, as we get to the latter half of Curse and into the beginning of Ships, I'm like, okay, where are the unicorns and centaurs and sun children? And then it was only like near the end of Ships that I'm like, okay, like they're genuinely not coming. Like it's been years. They're not coming back until something else happens. It's
Hmm.
not just the vanquishing of Deshthir. So when we get that sort of, I think they're called Illitherus Paravians, the centaurs.
Yeah,
When
that
we
sounds
get
right.
that, I was like, oh, they're back. Oh, like
Yeah.
and we know that that was an illusion done by Seth Beer, um, which I wonder. Do you think the Coriathian realized that ghost? I don't think they realized that it's an
I don't
illusion.
think so because I didn't either. I thought it was real,
Same,
and they like retreat, right? They kind of freak out and they're like, "Oh, we gotta go."
but I bet
Um,
that was Lorenda, right? Who was there, or was it
yes,
Moriel?
I think it was Lorenda.
I feel like Moriel would have known.
Moriel probably would have, yeah, because she's
Mhm.
like 1,000 years old or whatever, right? So like she would
Right,
maybe
and Lorenda's
recognize
very
her.
prideful.
She
We see
is,
that a lot from her perspective.
yeah,
So I feel
and sh
like she's not as like world weary and intelligent as Moriel Prime.
yeah,
I think Moriel Prime would have been like, that's BS.
yeah,
That's not but we essentially think that this is like the ghost of a centaur
hmm
or maybe possibly a real centaur, and um I was kind of like deflated. Well, I admired what it was in the story, but part of me was like, dang, like I thought we'd finally seen a Paravian.
Yeah.
Whenever we realized that it was just the Fellowship doing Fellowship stuff, I was kind of just like, darn. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, this centaur will know where the rest of them went. And
Right.
then yeah. So
Yeah, that
what
was.
were your feelings?
I had this same thing. I was so hyped that we saw a Paravian. Finally, I was so excited, and then we found out it's an illusion, and I had that just like, Janny, damn, what are you doing? Like, just had
Yeah.
that sort of like, oh, you got me again. And I think it also is building even more excitement for when we eventually,
Right.
theoretically, we'll get to see them. Maybe we never do. I don't know, but in theory,
I'm pretty sure we will. I just don't
I
know
would think so.
when in the overall narrative that'll happen. I thought it
Yeah,
was going to happen way sooner, honestly, when I was reading Curse.
sure. Yeah, me too. So I had that, and then you we see later that I can't remember if Lorenda goes back to Moriel or not, but like she comes back alone basically, right? And she
Mhm.
just like knocks on the door. She's like, "Hey, dude, can I have this waystone, please?" And Sethfear's like, "Yeah, come on in." And like I
Yeah,
was just so thrown off. I was like, "It's that easy? What?" And of course, we start to sort of learn a little bit why
that
that
easy.
happened. But I just remember it was such a like always with these books. I just felt like I was getting like whiplash in a good way of just I expected this thing, but then it
Mhm.
happened this way, so I was expecting this now, but then it went back way over here, and
Right.
it was just really fun to be pulled in all those different directions.
It was like it was playing tennis with your expectations.
Yeah, yeah, she does that so good, dude. I'm so impressed by
Mhm.
how many different elements of the story that she's. I mean, we're 3 books in, right? That
Right.
she's been able to do that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and even some of the some clarity from Fugitive Prince staying spoilers free, but we get a little bit better understanding of what the Waystone is. So it kind of
Mhm.
makes me feel like, okay, well, on a reread when I read Warhost, part of me, I was still interested because I know to trust Janny's writing, but part of me was like, why are we doing this for the Waystone? Now I'm like, okay, I know what this means to the
Yeah.
Coriani, which is something I was not aware of in that scene. I knew it was important to them. I didn't know why. So now that
Yes.
I know that, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll read that scene a little bit differently. And I think she layers that throughout the series. She layers the revelations to where on a reread, it very similarly to Malazan, a lot of the reveals make you think like, okay, now with this context, how differently would I read that scene
Yeah.
when I
Totally.
come back to it?
Totally. And the reveals come sooner than Malazan reveals tend to.
Yeah, yeah.
Like something happens and you're like, "What?" And then maybe the next book, like at the longest, is what it kind of for at least for a lot of it. Obviously, some of the really big
Mhm.
mysteries, shall we say, we haven't gotten reveals yet. But some stuff she doesn't make you wait. Like it's mysterious and it's whatever. But then relatively soon, you're gonna have at least a better understanding, even if it's not completely full understanding yet.
And then some of the revelations are like, what? And then other ones, they're mentioned so casually. It reminds me of like in Attack on Titan, where he's like, we're actually the armored and the colossal. And they just
Yeah.
mention it like she'll do that sometimes where she'll be like, a sorcerer that had been alive for 10,000 years, or dreams of creatures spawned from the dreams of dragons, and it'll just be a little description, and then the scene goes on, and it's
Uh
like,
huh.
wait, hold up,
Yeah.
what spawned from the dreams of dragons? What are you
What does
talking
that
about?
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. um which like you can draw several different conclusions from just that statement, several different ideas of what's going on. It never maps out directly, but that is
Mhm.
kind of a pretty big revelation to just drop and then move on
Yeah.
with the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It's huge.
And then I also noticed, so we see with Tharek and Arathon, he's not really trying to win Tharek over. It's just naturally, like almost through osmosis. Like he sees
Yeah.
how the twins treat Arathon, how Janess views him, and he's just
Mhm.
naturally swayed towards Arathon's side. Juxtaposed to Duke Sabridian, he's kind of
Yeah.
like shamed into following Lysair. Like he's like, oh, I don't know about you. I don't know about your treatment of Clanborn and all your town folk. I don't know. This is a little shady. And then Lysair's like, you're really gonna let Arathon do you like that? Is that who you are? You're gonna let him do you like that? Shame you.
Yeah.
And he does this all the time. Lysair, like, shames his allies. He does this with the Coriani as well. He'll make them feel insecure. That way he can offer them a hand and say, hey, join me and we can do this.
Yep.
Whereas Arathon is like, I don't care if you follow me or not, but he builds people up and then he doesn't care whether they follow him or not. And usually he has no intention of acquiring followers because he's worried that these people will then be hurt by Lyster's actions. He doesn't try to get Dakar to follow him either. And it's just naturally, as these people are around Arathon, they see what he's gone through. They see what his intentions are. They see his empathy, and they're just naturally drawn to him. Even if he's telling them, don't follow me, they're like, but I must.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's such a great, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Oh, no, you're good.
I was just gonna say it's such a great like juxtaposition of their, can I even say leadership styles? Because like you said, Arathon's not really trying to lead an army or trying to whatever, you know, he's just trying to do what he feels is right, which for most of this is like he just wants to stay out of the way and keep people safe. Right? Like he doesn't want Lyster to, because he knows Lyster's coming after him still, right?
Right.
And so he just took the Shadow Fleet over to oh, why am I blanking on the place where Lyster was when the Shadow Fleet got there? Avenor? Was that in Avenor? In Tyson? Anyway, but he takes the Shadow Fleet over there and Lyster just torches his own fleet. And so like he knows Lyster wants revenge. So he's trying to like come back, get these ships together, get out the way to keep people safe. And so like he's not going to try to draw a bunch of people to him because he doesn't want to put them in danger, right? So but like still people are just like magnetized to him because they just see that his heart's in the right place and he's trying to do the right thing. And you know and then to have that just so perfectly, it's opposite, but it's not like in a weird heavy-handed way,
right?
Like it all stems way back from those first parts of Curse of the Mistwraith, when we see how these two guys grew up back on Dass and Allure and how their relationships with their families. And then like it's so cool to me to see how all the way from there you can trace it all the way up to like the way that they're doing what they're doing right now here in book 3. And it's just I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just cool.
Dude, and it's so layered. There's a reason that, you know, the two characters we're following came from another world. There's a reason why that's important to the story, and it's because like Lyster is constantly not understanding the way the world works. Like he doesn't understand the clan-born culture and what a Caethdaean is. He just thinks that like, oh, town-born nobles, I'm the king, and he doesn't get it. And you see through his rise of power how much he doesn't understand about the world. And the thing is, if Lyster was in like a normal fantasy world, like a more typical fantasy world, he probably would have been the hero of the story.
Yeah.
But he constantly doesn't understand the nature of the world and what is at stake and what's important. And I think it's so crazy. Like the song that this story starts with, it says, "Cry justice for brave ships burned and doomed men drowned. One shadow-binding criminal goes unfound." And it's casting Arathon as the villain, but his powers have never caused flame. Like it's the Lord of Light's scorching light that is burning his own men.
Yeah. Arathon, the shadow's cold, right? It's starting to see like ice and cold and stuff now. So yeah.
I mean, he's constantly killing his own dudes.
Yeah.
Sorry, like
yeah.
I'm oversimplifying it, but it happens a lot. And it's crazy how even in the annals of this history, we're getting these sages looking back from, I think, the 7th age. And it's still in history. I don't know if these songs are surviving up to that point, but it's talking about the Shadow Master and how he got away and how the ships were scoured by flame. And it's like, but Lyster is the one always like burning stuff.
Yeah.
He has that burning light. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. Yeah, and he's Lyster. He we start to see him, like you said, he's sort of manipulating and getting his allies that way. But at the same time, we see him start to, some of his other relationships kind of fall apart, right? Like we see everything happening with Talith here, which isn't his fault per se. but he just can't. His refusal to like put his faith in somebody
Right.
is like it just really doesn't work out well for him, right? Like,
Mhm.
um, when I'm trying to remember exactly when because Talith leaves on her own of her own accord, right? She goes out to do something. She's trying to find the gold that was stolen, I think, that
Mhm.
Maynal stole. I think I'm remembering this right. And then she gets sort of captured while she's out there, and
Right.
Erathon's holding her for ransom. Is
Just to
that
buy time.
yes, to buy
Right.
time. That's right. That's
Right.
right. Um, and then like he doesn't touch her, right? She's safe. He returns her, whatever. And Lysair just cannot believe that she didn't betray him. He will not believe Talith at all, even though like they're married, right? And he supposedly loves her, but that love feels, at least to me, pretty surface level. That like he can't.
Mhm.
He's trusting the idea that he has of Erathon over
Right.
this person that's right there with him that he talks to all the time.
Right.
Like, bro, So he has such a weird relationship with just the people around him, and part of me wonders, and this is because of you. I wonder the stuff that you've talked about how
His mommy
Lyser's
didn't love
relationship
him
with his
enough.
mom really colors
Sorry.
how he views women.
Mhm.
And so here it's like, well, that makes sense that he wouldn't trust her, right? That he feels like she would have betrayed him because of every woman betrays him, right? It just
Right.
would be how he feels. Every woman is unfaithful.
Mhm.
And so again, you can trace all the actions and all the emotions back to those very beginnings in Curse of the Mistwraith, which is just awesome from a writing level. But
Right.
it's just I don't know.
The
It's fun to think
foresight.
through his character. Yeah, the foresight. Um, that yeah, man. I mean, he's just it's like he's gathering these allies, but at the same time, the things that are also really important to him are sort of falling apart.
Mhm.
So
I
yeah,
think a lot of so in terms of his own personal relationships and then also with the people he's aligning himself with, and this especially comes true for the women characters, there is not mutual respect there at all. He did not trust Maynal when she was like, "This is not what you're supposed to do. This is not what your ancestors fought for." And he's like, "Oh, what do you know?" And I think that
right.
shows lack of respect for women. With Talith, all she said was, "Is this really a path to go down? Is your brother as wicked as you make him out to be? Perhaps you were wrong about his character." You know, she's not taking Erathon's side. She's on Lysair's side.
Yeah,
She's on his side, but she's like, maybe what you're chasing after is not worth it. And he's like, you've betrayed me.
yeah,
And it's like such an elementary mindset to have, but it's really, I mean, it's an oversimplification, but mommy didn't love him enough.
yeah.
And I worry moving forward. Well, I don't worry because I don't like the guy, but I wonder moving forward how Lysair's alignment with the Choreothan is going to go because I don't think he mutually respects them either. I think in
Mm,
his mind, if they ever betray him, he could outsmart them, he could do whatever. And well, just to say, like, I don't know about Lorenda, but people like Moriel Prime, people like Alera, they're a lot smarter than Lysair. They're a lot more aware of what's going on with Athera and Athera's history and the
yeah,
magics of the world. Lysair is operating from a place of ignorance, and I think
yeah,
that's going to bite him in the ass.
yeah.
And
Extremely confident ignorance, also.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you. That would make a lot of sense. It
Mhm.
would be very consistent, and there's a lot of books left in the series. I guess we'll see what happens.
Right.
um,
Well, I'll make this statement. I don't think him and Talith are coming back from this. Like, I think he even says it in the scene. He's like a trust that was fractured and can never be put back
yeah,
together, which is like so dramatic. But it's like, dang, this like one comment, not even a betraying act, just her
right.
vocalizing this may not be the path to go down. Which I was
Yeah.
impressed by Talith for that because you see, like her brother is very similar to Lysair in that he's like, these dirty clansmen,
Uh-huh.
Master of
Uh-huh.
Shadow. So I was surprised by Talith. I'm like, okay, like she's getting it. You're getting
Yeah.
it. So I
Because
was
she actually
impressed by
spent time
her.
with him. Yeah, she
Right.
actually spent time with him and was willing to hear him out. Whereas
Mhm.
like, Lysair and Daigen is the brother, I think, right?
Mhm.
Like they're not gonna sit there and have a conversation with him.
Right.
Um, which is I really appreciate that within the scope of what's happening, it makes total sense that they're not going to go have a conversation with him. Like I get it, but I
Right.
do appreciate that it's depicted in the story that were you to just go have a civil conversation, you see things are not so black and white, and maybe you think about things a little bit differently. You
Right.
know, um, it's like all my favorite books do this, where they don't just tell you, the author isn't telling you what they think. They just sort of present different ways to look at the same thing and let you kind of make up your mind.
Mhm.
That I know we both love Malazan for that. We both like there's so many of the best writers I think do that really well, and Janie's doing it here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Um, should we talk about Vastmark a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah. So
Um
we see this is early in the book, I think, with Erathon
mhm.
and Dakar, where we see the little oh, what are they called? The flying whatever that are attacking the kids. Um,
Was it wyverns?
they might have been wyverns. They were like, yeah. Why am I blanking on this name right now? Anyway, but it was just cool to see, like I'm like, oh, okay, cool, another magical creature.
Mhm.
And we've now seen there's the Cadram early on. There's
Mhm.
these things.
Mhm.
We hear about the dragons and ships of Merior. Like I'm really interested in like, are these all related?
Mhm.
Like, are they descended from the dragons or something? Because they
Right.
all fly and they're all like predatory, and so
Mhm.
I'm interested in to see what's up with that. But then, of course, this kind of um, lays the groundwork for this next, I guess, this book of what Arathon's sort of trying to do, right? Of he rescues these kids in Vastmark, and then sort of, has to deal with that, and that helps to lead him into where we eventually go. So
Mhm.
yeah, what did you think about like sort of the setup, and as we sort of go through into the Vastmark stuff?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting seeing this sort of corner of the world that we hadn't come across yet. And not too long are we in Vastmark before we get,
Mm-mm.
those kids that are being attacked by the wyvern or um I'm blanking on the name as well. I think it might be wyvern, but it could be something
I
else.
think
I don't
that's right.
remember.
I think that's right.
But anyway, this flying lizard thing that's attacking these kids, we see that the girl is wounded, and I think that there are several moments throughout ships where Dacker questions his assumptions about Arathon a little bit or about his own life that he's lived, but there's still that lingering like, oh, he sucks and Lysair's my best friend forever.
Yeah.
And I thought that Vastmark, it was really cool to see these two characters kind of alone in a setting for a little bit,
Hmm.
and you see them in a similar way to what Alara and Arathon tried to like heal that man's hand. You see Arathon and Dacker try to save this child, um, and then they fail. They ultimately fail at saving her, and then they meet the different peoples of Vastmark, and yeah, I really enjoyed that section a ton.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And see, I love that part also, seeing them sort of begrudgingly work together, right? Because
Mhm.
he Dakar is still like magically tasked with protecting Arathon, but he doesn't want to.
Right.
But like you're saying, after the end of ships, he's starting to be like, oh, well, yeah, sort of wavering a little bit, and um, seeing, not to spoil where we're headed here, but like seeing Dakar's journey through ships and
Mhm.
Warhost
Right.
was like, it's just incredible, the the growth and the distance that he covers.
Mhm.
And so it's cool to see, and again, just that gradual step by step progression, where we look up at the end and we're like, whoa, how did we get here? It's crazy.
There was one moment that I made note of with Dakar when they're trying to save that child, and Dakar realizes that they cannot. And he
Hmm.
says, "But for the spellbinder, that absolution fell short. He was no more than 5 centuries of debauchery had made him. The compounded waste of every year he had squandered, strung now in cruel regret for the price meted out to Gileath as he failed her."
Yeah.
That was I remember reading that and underlining it because I'm like, oh, okay, like this is the moment where it's kind of like where he calls himself out and he
Hmm.
looks at what his years of layabout and, just being a
Yeah.
jackass, what that's gotten him. And that was the first moment for me where he was directly calling himself out and saying like, okay, this is what
Yeah.
it's all gotten me. This is, and this child's paying the price
Yeah.
for all of my waste.
Yeah.
And in Marior, he lands himself in a ton of trouble. Or not in the beginning of Ships of Marior, the book,
Yeah.
not in Marior, the location, but in the beginning of the book, he lands himself in quite a bit of trouble. And Arathon and Halaron have to bust him out, and he never really thinks about what that did to them. He kind of blames Arathon for it. He doesn't take it into account himself. And this, he's like, he can't really blame Arathon because it's all on
Hmm.
him.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can't he can't be like, oh, jackass, you failed this kid. He has to look at himself and be like, it was me. I'm the
Yeah.
problem.
I'm the problem. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm excited to see moving forward in the series. Like, does he take himself, or does he take things more seriously, and like
Mhm.
really tries to basically make up for that so that he doesn't wind up in that situation again? Um, that'd be cool, right? We'll
Right.
see. We'll see. But that's definitely where my head starts to go. Is like, okay, we're gonna maybe we see him try to grow up a little bit, try to
Right.
like take the prophecies a little bit more seriously, and because he's the prophet also, right? Like that's the other funny thing is that he's the one who sees these hugely important things, but he's not really taking them that seriously and like
Mhm.
training and being ready to help. So TBD, I suppose, as
Right.
we continue there. um but isn't
And
this
it's in this one where he gets the prophecy of Arathon getting, you know, killed by the arrow.
yeah,
And throughout the whole
yeah.
book, he's like, should I let it happen or should I not let it happen?
Right, right. Yeah, because he has to protect him, but he
Right.
doesn't like him, and he wants him to
Right.
die, and he wants to be free of the protection thing, and the
Mhm.
only way to do that is if a Sandir frees him, or if he dies. So it's like he's kind of in this weird, can I let somebody kill him to free myself and whatever? Like, is that breaking the like
Right.
it's the chaos, right? Like, am I going to be able to do that with this chaos in place, or is that just not gonna, So that was a really fun cat and mouse isn't the right word, but like, um, you know what I mean? Just like seeing
Yeah.
how he handles that.
And it's also influenced by his like budding compassion for Arathon, begrudging budding compassion. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't want to like the guy, but he's like, damn, he's trying to save kids.
yeah,
Am I really gonna let him croak like that?
uh-huh. Because he's always like he's there on he's passed out on the ship when he's sailing out with Phelan and Fiark and stuff, right? Like he sees how Arathon's interacting with these people,
Mhm.
and so uh, I have a hard time seeing how he couldn't start to respect him a little bit,
Right.
spending that much time. Mm.
And then Vastmark again, where you see, Arathon doing his best to heal that child.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it makes sense for him to call into question that prophecy and how he's gonna let it play out, and if he even can let it play out.
hmm,
Um,
yeah. I'm trying to think through other like really big major events other than the ending. Um,
There's so the point for me, I'm usually an Arathon fanboy. Like whatever he decides to do, I'm on board. But whenever he's like, in throughout ships, he tries to flee Lysair. He's trying to get away. He's trying to put this battle off.
yeah,
You get the Battle of Deer Kitten Vale coming up, Vastmark, this last little threshold, this last little hoorah. And the only choice left to him, I still to this day question if it was the right one, but he is like, I'm going to decimate the vanguard of this army so terribly, no mercy, nothing left them. Like just 100, no, not even. It's like 24 or something. It's like 24 survivors are left to recount to Lysair the decimation that Arathon's troops put on the vanguard of their army, just to kind of
yeah,
like scare them to make Lysair retreat.
Yeah.
Because, he's tried everything. He's tried the ships, they got burned. He's tried everything. He's tried fleeing. And he's like, I just have to decimate them this badly. And you can see Kaol is watching this happen. He's like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, and, it's scenes like that have to happen because we know throughout Athera's history that like Erathon is believed to be a villain. And this was the first scene where I'm like, okay, like historically, it's hard to show this moment without showing Erathon as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because it's just so merciless. But
Yeah.
we as the readers know that Erathon feels that overwhelming empathy. Like in the moment, he is crying as he is forcing his men to dispatch this vanguard. He is lamenting their loss. And the real gut punch is that it was all for nothing because Daigan kills those 24 soldiers so they can't tell Lysair how bad the decimation was. And then the battle goes on. And it's like his intention was in the right place, but essentially he butchered those men for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is heartbreaking when you think about what that's going to do to Erathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like it really is just the worst of all worlds, because now Kaol is like doubting him, which is not what we need.
Right.
And like you said, it didn't work, and now he's like depressed because he had to do this horrible thing that he thought was the lesser evil.
Mm-hmm.
But it just it didn't work.
And
it didn't work.
even those 24 who were wounded, he went to them like incognito, but they mention like his jet black hair and emerald eyes, so it's Erathon, but he went down to tend them and to heal the wounded. So I mean, it just sucks. It just sucks that history remembers him this way.
Yeah.
And he like you just mentioned, like it's tragic for him. Like he doesn't want this. And yeah, he's tending his wounded. Meanwhile, Lysair's right-hand man is killing his own men that survived.
Yeah.
But that's really not on Lysair. Like he didn't know
Right.
Daigan was doing that. And I question, because we've seen Lysair wasn't even thrown off from his set prerogative, even when his wife, whom he supposedly loves, tries to tell him not to. So I wonder, even if Daigan hadn't have done that, if 24 men were like, oh, my leg, look what he did to us, I wonder if Lysair would have turned back. I question it. Sometimes I think he might not have.
I tend to agree. I think he would be just rage is blindness, right? So I tend to think that he would be caught up in that and just do what he does.
I would just be further justification. Like, you decimated my men.
Yeah.
I must have justice because he has the Gios of justice.
Totally.
So
yeah.
Even without Daigan's interference, I'm like, really, would that have worked, Erathon? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Was that the point where he did the like the TNL whatever like to scry and try to figure out what's the most probable thing that would actually get the job done?
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was that point or if it was the ultimate at the end.
I think the TNL was that. So he did see that Lysair would have backed off if the message had gotten delivered. So
yes.
yeah. Now that you're bringing it up, thank you. I remember now.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
see, this is why we do this.
Exactly.
We both clicks together for both of us. Yeah. Yeah, which is the other cool thing. I love how the prophecies happen in these books, because just because somebody has a prophecy doesn't mean it's going to work out that way. It's just like, if these things happen, then we'll have this outcome. But XYZ can still get waylaid along the way.
Right. Yeah, it's like a prophecy cookbook kind of. It's like, if you do these things, if you enter these ingredients, you may get this result. But then there's variables that go unseen, like Daigan dispatching them. And actually, like, speaking of you reminding me about the TNL thing, I think this is just kind of a broader series perception that I have. I was talking to Janie about, she's like, so many people gloss over some of the finer details, and I think the reason that happens in Words of Light and Shadow is because it's so lean, because every page is like packed full of revelations. We're not used to that. Like, you read a Sanderson book and it's like every 100 pages or so, you get this big like revelatory thing that happens. But the other bits, you could kind of have your brain on autopilot and be reading and still get all of it. Whereas like Janny, it's like there's so many revelatory, so many game-changing things that are packed into like 100 pages. You're going to get like 200 revelations. You're going to get a lot of stuff. So it's easy looking back on the books to forget those details because there's just so much packed in.
Yeah, totally. I think, and it's just another reason why a reread is going to be really fun someday. We'll be able to catch all those little things. So Erathon's already pretty messed up, right, emotionally from having to do this, and it didn't work. And then we got to come back for round 2 later.
Yeah.
And oh man, and it's also seeing him because he still has some of his like magic powers are blocked, right? Like, so he's got to come up with ways to do this without being able to just torch somebody with a lightning bolt like Lysair can do. He's got to be a little bit more creative, and I think that's all the Vastmark stuff comes into play, right? Because he gets all the archers and he gets all those people to help, and sort of it's not by his choice necessarily at first, right? Like they kind of want to help him, and then he's like, okay, well, this is the lesser evil, and I like this is the really the only way, and it's horrible, but it's for the greater good type of thing. And we wind up with a giant landslide that like you said decimates earlier. Like this, what's a worse word? Annihilate. Like it's like this is crazy what he winds up they lure the ships in and whatever, right? And the people, and they wind up doing these just massive landslide to just destroy everything. He's like, all right, well, it didn't work. Like, we're gonna make you listen and make you retreat. Just he put all his cards on the table.
It's crazy to think like the crazy aspect of it is Lysair is doing his damnedest to destroy Erathon, and Erathon is pushing the conflict back not because he won't win, but because he will win, and he doesn't want to kill that many people. He doesn't want his men to die at the cost of vanquishing the enemy, but he also doesn't want to feel the loss of life. Like that John Donne poem where it's like, don't ponder for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Each man is not an island of himself. I think Erathon personifies that very well. It's like any loss of human life, he feels greatly. So he would actually win in a drag out fight between him and Lysair. Like, as even without his sorcery, just as a tactician, he is a better maker of war than Lysair. He is in every aspect. He outsmarts Lysair. But the thing is, he doesn't want to kill his enemies. Whereas Lysair is bent on killing his enemies. He doesn't care about the clanborn. He doesn't care about Erathon. He is trying to eliminate evil from the world by killing it. Whereas Erathon, we know, is the better tactician and the better fighter. And he's pushing it off. And then you see that at Deer Kenton Vale. You're like, oh yeah, you weren't running because you were scared. You were running because like you didn't want to do all that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It honestly is it's hard to read, right? Because you just feel for him so bad. Because like if you actually take the time to think through how Erathon is feeling when this happens, it's tough, man. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's another thing of Kale starting to be like, man, this is really bad, dude. This is really bad. I don't know.
Right.
And and Dakar's been along for the ride this whole time, kind of seeing all this, and he knows that Erathon did the TNL stuff, and so he knows some of the reasoning and whatever. So I think he can empathize a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. That's just my overwhelming feeling about that whole part, is just how horrible this is for Erathon to be sort of forced into this decision, because he thinks it's ultimately going to wind up being the best choice. But like, just what a horrible thing to be forced into doing.
I know.
Such a bummer. Such a bummer.
It's a tragic,
really is.
Unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
And it could have been so avoided. But nobody wanted this terrible thing to, like, Daigan, in killing his own men, he's like, we must do this because evil must be vanquished. And you're just, face palming because you're like, this is the actual evil here.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just sad. But you also like, as much as you can hate on Daigan and Lysair, it's like they really are doing what in their minds is the right thing to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. From their perspective, it makes sense. And Diane ends up dying here, right? In the in this battle.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Heavy losses.
Rip.
Very bad. Very bad.
And then you've
And
mentioned the end. Oh, well, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to ask if you
no,
wanted
no.
to talk about the the big climactic point of the book. Yeah, where Dakar, takes that arrow. What
Yeah.
were your feelings going into that scene and coming out of it?
It was really fun for me because I did not know what he was gonna do. Because we know
Mhm.
that he had this prophecy of Erathon dying by an arrow. And we see, as we get closer and closer, we see the scene or the setting is kind of all falling into place. Right. And Dakar, like he sees Erathon, he's walking. He's like, this is the moment. And I was just so like, what is he gonna do? It was so fun. I didn't have a strong feeling one way or another, but um I was I was still surprised when he went and took the arrow for him because I just which in hindsight it makes sense. We can kind of trace this building through the whole story that he would react this way. But like, wow, it's just it feels so different from how that character was beforehand, and how not long ago he like swore to find some way to kill this guy, and here's his chance on a silver platter to just let him die. You're free. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to be caught up in this whole protection spell thing anymore. And then, you know, but here he is. He's come to respect Erathon a lot, and so I was just it's hard to even describe my emotion when that happened. I was just like surprised and like I guess admiring Dakar that he was able to grow that much and that he was able to sort of put aside his previous thoughts and just grow as a person.
Mhm.
I think that's cool because that's hard, right? Like, um, I'm sure a lot of people, anybody watching this, I'm sure you've had something in life. I certainly have, where like changing your fundamental opinion that would like about a person, especially, like it's hard to do. It takes a long
Mhm.
time, and to see it there was in such a high stakes moment, also with all the cool fantasy stuff wrapped around it. It was it was huge. You know.
Yeah, I agree. In my own personal life experience, when I form opinions on people, they're pretty ironclad, which maybe
Mm.
is a fault in and of myself. But when I form opinions on people, and Dakar and Arathon's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth impressions of each other
Uh-huh.
were pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Um, so in this arc, in arc two, we see them like kind of you see Dakar throughout the whole thing sort of question his assumptions of Arathon, but even when he's questioning them, he's like, no, I'm right. This guy sucks.
Hmm.
And then, oh man, yeah, I'll be honest. When I first read the ending of Warhost, I thought Dakar was dead. So I was reading that a
Yeah.
lot more emotionally than I probably will on a reread because I was like, oh, this is it. Like, because it feels like the end of his arc. And, me and you have
Hmm.
both gone on to read Fugitive Prince. And while we don't get as much Dakar as we do in these two books, it's like, okay, there may be more to his arc, more to come, because people don't just come finish an arc and then stop growing in real life. That's not how the world
Yeah.
works. But I thought, like, oh, this is the completion of his arc. So he's done. Like, this is it.
Yeah. And
Dakar,
it would have been satisfying, I think, right?
right.
Like it's just that much better that we can see um like sort of what we were talking about earlier. Like, oh, maybe he starts to take his mage training and fellowship duties more seriously, and what could he
Right.
do with that? What could a mature version of him achieve? And could they actually fulfill what was it, the Black Rose prophecy from book one?
Mhm.
Like, can they actually accomplish this now? And so it gives us the opportunity for a lot more to see from him, which is really cool. But this kind of feels like his story in a sense. These
Yeah.
two books together, and that's awesome because that's not what I expected, and not really what I wanted either. But coming now out the other side, it was so great.
I definitely coming into ships, I thought Dakar was going to be a character that supported Lysair more. Like I thought he was going to break away from the
Yeah,
Fellowship and be
me
on his
too.
side because he was just like Lysair, my BFF,
Uh-huh.
best friends forever, ring. But they just seemed like buddies and pals, and I thought that that was just going to be a character in Lysair's supporting cast. But I definitely prefer this development a ton. I think
Yeah.
I would have liked Dakar a lot less if that had been the case. And I
Yeah.
think there's enough in Dakar that if he had gone that route, if he had supported Lysair, I think he would have broken out of that at some point because he would have
Mhm.
been like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, I don't know about, ooh, I don't like
Yeah.
this.
Eventually. Eventually. Um, Man, we leave now. Lysair, speaking to him, like his army is just just totally gone. And I mean, he's got some obviously, right? But now it's like, okay, now I'll retreat. I get it, right? Like he's finally going to kind of pull back and
But even as he's retreating, he's like, damn you, Arathon.
yeah, I'll be back.
Yeah.
He's not giving up, right? He's just gotta. He wants to come back and like gather more allies, right, and build his army back up, and because he's just like you said earlier, he just wants to eliminate that evil. He's not going to stop, right? He feels
Yep.
the right thing to do. He's just got to keep doing it.
He's like, I'll
And
recoup and I'm coming. I'm coming
yeah,
for you.
totally.
Mhm.
Which from his perspective, like awesome, right? What a valiant, chivalrous knight, doing the right thing and never giving up. So and then poor Arathon is just really in it now, right? Not just for what he had to do twice, but now seeing Dakar like sort of basically sacrifice himself for him, right? Like, of course, he winds up living, but just the just all the pain that has been caused surrounding him, like
Mhm.
he's dealing with it, man.
Yep.
Rough place to end off for him.
But there is that glimmer of hope. To me, I felt a little bit hopeful when you see him at the end on that ship and Phelan is clutching the wheel
Hmm.
and Arathon's like there with her and you kind of get the idea that him and Phelan and Fiark are kind of living a semi like it's obvious that the events at Deer Kenton Vale will last he's got a very long lifetime but it'll last a lifetime. He'll think about this for the next 5 centuries or however long
Yeah,
he lives, but he does persevere through that pain. You see him on the ship and that was kind of like his like sailing off into the sunset until the next book where
yeah,
that's called into question. But
yeah,
there was an element of hope there, and I actually, especially now that I'm almost done with Fugitive Prince, I would argue that this is a perfect place to stop. Curse. You can stop after Talcorin and take a break, and that's why it's the ending of the first arc. But I really feel like you could treat the first 3 books like a trilogy and just go full on through Warhost.
yeah,
And so many people are intimidated by 11-book series. You can stop here. You can stop here, come back 3-4 months from now. You'll miss some details. You'll forget some stuff. Like what
yeah.
was the Waystone? What was this? But
Uh-huh.
I think overall you can feel satisfied after 3 books. There will be lingering questions, but it does, and kind of like a Robin Hobb, like she has her trilogies. You can kind of stop here and then collect yourself, read something else if you want, and then come back.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
it's a great. I actually hadn't thought about that until you said that, but I'm like, yeah, I think that works great. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any more thoughts on Warhost of Vastmark?
I don't think so. I think it was such a it was a really satisfying end of an arc, right? Like
Mhm.
you were saying, and you totally could take a break there if you needed it, but you're also probably going to be really excited to keep going. So it's
Right.
it's it's tough to put it off for too long. But yeah, I love the character growth. I love the expansion of the world building and all the history and stuff that we got, and seeing other like we hadn't really been in Vastmark yet, so it was great to see that. And I just continue to be so impressed with the like how linear the story is and how like the consequences of everything matters and everybody's perspective is so consistent
Mhm.
and this person does this and that sets off this domino effect that like you never know something really it seems really small but it
Right.
just it can cause this huge thing later and we see some of that stuff here and it'll be fun to, when we get deeper into the series, be able to look back and be like, oh man, this started all the way back in Warhost or whatever.
Right.
So, or like which of those the little sentences, the 3-sentence things at the end of each chapter, like to be able to look back and be like, which of those was like groundbreaking revelation that we just didn't understand at the time or something, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Dude, before our discussions, little side tangent, those little triplets, those are like my skimming like helpers. Like I'm like,
yeah,
okay, skim through this to help refresh some things. And like, okay, I'm gonna stop and really read these three because they're always hinting at what's coming next. And they do feel like they sum up what you just read in a way. Like it puts a little neat bow on it and then hints at something else.
yeah,
So I pay more attention to those three than I would give to just a normal sentence along the
yes,
chapter, like
agreed.
those are always something revelatory, something huge, something
Yeah,
momentous.
yes, agreed. And I love how she does that. It's so cool. The structure is just awesome.
Mhm. It's so distinct. It's so distinct.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it. But it's been a blast talking to you, man, and I can't
yeah,
wait for us to chat Fugitive Prince.
yes.
And yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for having me. This is always super fun. And
Mhm.
like you said, until the next one.
Peace out, guys. End recording.